All right, good morning, people. Bob here, back once again. Quick Bitcoin breakdown today. Really, I'm going to keep this super simple, just because, again, it's all about gaining or losing levels at this point. So right now, we haven't lost this level, which is great. And we got this fairly long downside wick here, and it's not to say that every time you get a long downside wick that it is going to reverse course, but even if only temporary, it at least gives us an opportunity to reclaim this level here, which is a big deal at this stage. I did give some consideration to something, and the rejection at this 236 on this particular chart. I don't love that, obviously, but this is something that I think we've gotten pretty used to seeing at this point, where you get these fairly precipitous drops, and then at the bottom of those drops, when you get this long wick, this candle does tend to push up pretty hard, and I could show you that on shorter time frames all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I think this has potential, at least, and that all assumes that the bulls can actually maintain control of the price action here and push this back up. Now, the interesting thing will be that this rounded bottom here on the RSI, you can see again, and we kind of moved it around a little bit yesterday to kind of eye it up. So you got this guy that came down into here, and then you had this guy here. Now, if this guy simply pushes back up, if it does, in fact, recover and go back onto this level here, let's say today, for instance, that probably puts it back inside of this parabola, at which point the next several days after that could be amazing. Now, I find it interesting that the Fed happens to be meeting today, because I think that one of two things can come of this, right? If the market is positively surprised by the news, then what I would expect is that Bitcoin is going to get ready to run, right? That we've already been seeing signs of a potential turnaround for a while now, right? Well, and by a while, I guess this one had potential to turn around and it just rolled over. But this one actually, like, just the overall structure of it, I like better. More volatility than this one over here was too, which is kind of nice, to be frank. Makes for much better trading when the volatility is greater. And then with this one, it was just like, 1 day up, 2 days down, 3 days up, 1 day. This one, at least, we're putting together some structure that has got some logic to it. Anyway, long story short, there are scenarios where this thing could start to really break out of here and really start cooking to the upside. And I guess it depends. I mean, I've seen different things suggesting, 75 basis point up to 100 basis point change from the Fed. Seems unlikely that it'll come in at a 50 basis point or 25 basis point, but if it did, think that might shock the markets back to life a little bit, at least. I just don't know if that's in the cards, because let's be honest, the Fed still got to control some inflation, so we'll see. The price action on Bitcoin today, I'd say, again, for now, until or unless this level is broken and retested, which probably would take place over the course of the next 2-3 days, unless this level is broken and retested, I would call this the ceiling. So 21.8 for today, maybe up to, say, 22.1, and then hard rejection there to bring it back down under. Or, again, if it does reclaim it, at that point you probably actually see it pop up more to like 22.6. But I'd say the more realistic number is 22.1 on the very high end for the day, 21.9-ish. And then downside potential, just the way that this is structured at the moment, again, it didn't even lose. It just touched down to this level. It didn't even really lose it, and then it actually closed the day at this level of support, which is not significant. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the level of support that's there, but it was a positive to see it close there as opposed to down here. Because if it closed down here, that was where we were looking at maybe getting trapped up in this price action right here, and then eventually probably falling out of it. This actually gives us a chance to rebound, or at least in my opinion, that gives us the better chance to rebound. So, so I think honestly, as far as I'm concerned, that wasn't terrible. The 4-hour chart I find interesting because I think what we're seeing here, and I was talking to Matt about this for a good part of the day yesterday, was that, I did feel as though the price action did fall out of this bull flag, and it did. And then now, you come down here, you tap this 27.15, beautiful. All right, that was dead on the numbers. Which, at least based on the zero fib being at this level, that was a 236. So cool, we got a nice bounce there. It was right at the bottom trend line as far as the price action coming through here. And again, if you're looking at that trend line and you're saying, well, what about this? Well, this we decided was bullish fake out. So in reality, held the pattern, and it is currently in the process of trying to reclaim the bull flag. If everything works out accordingly here, basically we're gonna come up here, get a breakout. 23,000 might be in the cards sometime shortly hereafter. But this right here, this retest right here, or at least it looks like a retest. You can see we got a volume spike to get back into the pattern, and we got another volume spike right here. This 4-hour candle is really only 39 minutes in, and it's already got a lot of volume. I'm going to assume that this is actually looking to be a retest here, and that we are probably about to start another 4-hour uptrend, at least potentially. I think it's fairly realistic to believe that it could, make a push here, come back down, test again on the 200 before it makes its next leg up. But at the same token, again, I think that these macroeconomic, discussions that are taking place are going to have a big impact as well. So if we get some positive news again from the Fed, where maybe they decide, yep, we're going to scale back our rate increase this time, not go the 75 basis points or the potential 100 basis points people were concerned about. We're going to scale back a little bit, then boom, this thing is ready to rock. And then we'll start looking, 20, 24 again, 26, 27, 30,000 potentially. Could be a great summer, right? And DeFi could get cooking again. Maybe the other alts could potentially get cooking again too, but we shall see. But this is what had to happen yesterday, and it did. So we keep getting things that need to happen mixed in with some things that would be nice if weren't happening. But, again, we're just out here trading a trend. We don't care if it's up or down. So let's see. Now, the hourly paints actually a fairly nice picture. And you can see, obviously, I got this one a little different right here. I got this more of a, more contemporary, we'll say contemporary, bull flag look to it. I busted out the green channel. This one actually shows that it held perfectly, right? That it never actually fell out. But that's just because I went with this one. I went with the hourly wicks, whereas the other chart's kind of it's a different time frame. But I guess the thing I'd say here is that my only concern at the moment, and really it's kind of looking at this chart, is that there's still some feasibility that we got to work our way back down here. It's not a given since we did get a bounce off an area that had support. But again, right now we're in the process of leaving this as resistance. So we need this to take off soon, or you have to assume that in fact we are coming back down here. And if we start to come back down here, I almost think that it's a given that we do lose some additional levels. So again, it's a tough one. Even if we did come all the way back down here, It does still give us a macro higher low than here. And I get, technically speaking, I guess you could even come all the way down to say here and still get a macro higher low here, 19.3. I don't want to talk about those numbers, but I just got to be realistic about the potential for them. But I think it's much more likely at this point that Bitcoin will reclaim this 21,560 at some point, maybe today. Who knows? I think it's more likely that will be the scenario. But again, the downside is there, and we've seen, if we get rejected here in this level, yeah, it's very feasible. It's heading back down. The stochastic RSI would suggest that it in fact is, but it's kind of showing that it wants to curl back up, but I don't think that's a given either. Let's just zoom in real quick on the shortest term time frames that you and I will work with as usual. This thing popped off this line right here. So if we zoom out on this one, this is where I could show you that I've got it where the price action fell out of that, and now it is back inside, retesting that trend line right there. And I believe that is where we're seeing this pop right now. So I would say, again, I'm more inclined to suggest that upside is the logical belief at this point. We'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, so I guess, again, reiterating, I think that, again, somewhere up to around this region here, this 22.1 level is fairly realistic to accomplish. Whether it happens today specifically is another story. I mean, this is this is only a 15-minute chart, so it's not as if I'm showing you the world here. Hourly chart, let's see, 8 hours, let's just call it 8 hours, 12 hours from now, that would take us out to right over here. Oops. Yeah, so I mean, right here, could it possibly be all the way up to this level? I think it's feasible. And then you can see here that the 100 simple moving average could possibly stop us out right there. So would love to see this thing just blast off out of here, tap this guy, come back down, retest this level or here, and then just take off. So with any luck, that's what we're going to get. Be excited. I mean, you can already see it's popping a little bit, so I got to get back to work. Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to catching up. We'll talk soon.